Our speaker today is Renee Olson. Renee Olson is a former anti-Mormon who has been a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 6 years. She's the adopted daughter of Darius. I always get that wrong. Sorry, Darius. Darius Gray, president of the Genesis group, which is an LDS group, and Darius is an honored guest today. You might want to wave or stand up for this. That's an official auxiliary of the Church for Black LDS and their families and friends. As a former anti-Mormon and now active Black LDS, Renee has unique insights concerning how antis use such issues as blacks in the priesthood to trick people away from the truth. She has served as an official LDS interpreter for the deaf and a stake missionary. She's currently the Director of Public Affairs for the Ward in Atlanta, Georgia, where she resides with her husband and son. So please welcome Renee Olson.
If I could sign this talk, I'd probably be a lot more comfortable. I want to thank my father for being here. Thank you, Daddy, and Julie for all of her help. And if you can, after I get done with this, you'll probably all feel sorry for Julie because she's my roommate this weekend and she's stuck with me. One thing Julie and I talk about is a lot of this white guilt that people feel because of myths that have been perpetuated in the church since its inception. And I've told her, and I've told the list, if you know me from the fair list, you know my attitude is get over it. So, to help you all get over it, as the token black of fair, I absolve all of you of your white guilt and say unto you, be healed. Okay? Think no more.
Our other sins.
You're on your own. That's my own to atone for. As apologists, two of the biggest concerns that we deal with are the seed of Cain and the blacks and the priesthood issue. And I hope after I'm done, after this hour is over, you won't have a problem with it anymore, because I sure don't. I'm going to address both of those issues. And I know that these are really big issues, the anti-Jews, because when I was an anti, I used them all the time. And it's a great way to keep blacks out of this church. I thought to myself, no self-respecting black person would join a racist church. Wouldn't even consider it if they knew the truth as I knew it. Or at least as I thought I knew it. As many of you from the fair list know, I've given my testimony in fair. I did start out as an anti. You've asked me how I became an anti. Well, I had really good friends who lived across the street from me, and they were Roman Catholic. And the lady, though, had left the convent. She was a nun, and had left the convent to get married and have children. And so they had raised their children Catholic. And all of a sudden, overnight, instead of trying to get me to go to Mass, now it was come to home meeting. And so I said, we have a problem here. I could deal with Mass, but I can't deal with this home meeting thing. So I went to my pastor, and I asked my pastor if our Southern Baptist church had anything about Mormons, because I knew absolutely nothing. Talk about a blank slate, I was a blank slate. Well, he told me that I needed to stay away from Mormons because they brainwash their people. And they teach people that they are the only church in which a person can go to heaven. And by the way, they're the only correct church on the face of the earth, not just the only way to go to heaven. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm thinking, gee, isn't that what I was taught as a Southern Baptist? Go figure. Well, then they told me that there were two men coming from the Home Mission Board who would, and the Home Mission Board, by the way, is based in Atlanta. And they were going to be coming to my little small town in Iowa, and they were going to talk about Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses. So of the two conferences, guess which one I went to? Of course, I went to the workshop on Mormonism. After taking their 2-day seminar, I was told that I could earn a certificate, which would make me a lay volunteer, kind of a lay professional in this area. So I took the opportunity, determined to learn all I could to help get my friends out of Mormonism. I wasn't trying to destroy the church at that point. I was just trying to get my friends out. So, to make a long story short, after doing my calling for 6 years, I spent another 10 years out in the desert or wilderness of life until my pride was completely utterly broken down to nothing. And the Master felt I had been sufficiently softened and was ready to be used for his purposes. Now I'm on the other side, and I know exactly who was doing the brainwashing. Now, if anybody wants to hear the whole gory story with its sundry sordid details, see me later. No time right now. I want to discuss some of the myths surrounding the Mormon Church. Now, we've all heard that one about blacks didn't fight valiantly in the pre-existence. I used to teach that. And I've also heard that Noah's son Ham married an Egyptian which was outside of the approved lineage, and Ham's posterity would not be able to hold the priesthood because of it. Another one I've heard is that Egyptians wanted a matriarchal line rather than honoring the man as the patriarch, and so the priesthood would be denied her line for her mistake. And then there's the myth I've heard that black people just aren't as intellectually superior. Boy, do I take offense at that one. The fact that I have joined the church makes me infinitely intellectually superior to any and all of our critics, which includes the white ones. Okay? So we've already dispelled that myth. In their book, Mormon America, which, by the way, they actually have back there, Olsons quotes Brigham Young as characterizing descendants of Cain as, quote, black, uncouth, uncomely, disagreeable, and low in their habits, wild and seemingly deprived of nearly all the blessings of the intelligence that is generally bestowed upon mankind, end quote. These are our good points. But I swear to God, it only happens when we're upset or angry. That's really, it's the only time that comes out. Olsons says that Young specified that the biblical mark of God that God put on Cain was the flat nose and black skin. Now I'm going to tell you, I feel very slighted because I couldn't even be cursed correctly. I don't have a black nose. I don't have a flat nose. I have a very white European nose. Okay? I couldn't even get the curse correctly. This hurts. I thought about this. See, I had lots of time to think about it. And there's another thing that I've thought about that really makes you go, You've all heard that if you have one drop of black blood, this makes you a Negro. Well, I know there's one drop of white blood make me a white European. I have good reason for asking. I'm over 35% white. That's where my nose comes from. Well, I think we all know the truth about these statements, or rather the lack of truth about it. And I'm sure there's no one here who thinks that the black person is automatically intellectually inferior just because he's black. You've got a problem. Now, before I proceed to answer this claim, I want to share some more, I want to see some other perspectives from prophets and apostles that will help us understand just how widespread the thinking was at the time. If it had only been one person who was spouting off or saying something, the church could have dealt with that probably rather easily. But what do you do when the people making these accusations are general authorities? When the people who are saying these things are general authorities, like Elder Mark E. Peterson. So he's a good one. We like him. Elder Peterson, in his talk, Race Problems as They Affect the Church, said, quote, "Is there any reason to think that the same principles of rewards and punishments did not apply to us and our deeds in the pre-existent world as will apply hereafter? Is there a reason then why the type of birth we receive in this life is not a reflection of our worthiness or lack of it in the pre-existent life? We must accept the justice of God. He is fair to all. He is not a respecter of persons. He will meet to us according to what we deserve. With that in mind, can we account in any other way for the birth of some of the children of God in darkest Africa? Or in flood-ridden China? Or among the starving hordes of India? While some of the rest of us are born right here in the United States?" End quote. Well, gee, I guess I should be grateful that Heavenly Father, in His infinite mercy, saw fit to allow me to be born in the United States. Well, I submit to you, brothers and sisters, that Heavenly Father did not punish us by giving us a black skin, and He didn't show preference by allowing some to be born here while others endure different circumstances. Now, notice I did not say bad.